Okay, did everybody get a workbook? And did everybody get a kind of an end of course critique there?
Yes.
Okay, that will be your chance to bash or praise as you see fit at the end of the thing. Well, good afternoon. My name is Trent Baines. I will be your guide and guru on our trip of self-discovery for stress today. And it is fully my goal that that's exactly what it's going to be. It's going to be a trip of self-discovery. If I do my job right, you will find out more stuff about yourself and stress than you've ever learned in your entire life. So that's kind of where I'm starting from. Just to give you a little background, the left side of stress, once I go through the briefing a little bit more, the reason I call it the left side of stress will make total sense to you. But it's always been my experience that whatever side of the equation you're on will always determine your outlook, okay? Sometimes you're on top of the stool, sometimes you're underneath. Now, just so we kind of know where we're all going, what would anybody like to get out of this? What is somebody's goal for having to suffer through this thing for the next couple hours?
Curiosity.
Curiosity. So whether I'm hanging a dog or talking about stress, you're willing to watch just for curiosity.
Absolutely.
I like that. You're so
Reinforcement.
Right. Reinforcement. Pat has alluded to me earlier that he enjoys the brief because he calls it his annual tune-up, and I take that as a huge compliment. Anybody else? Does anybody think they have a problem with stress?
Well, yes.
Okay, there's two. Okay, a few more. How many of you would consider yourselves to be experts on stress? Even if it's just at the personal level.
Dealing with it or experiencing
Or
it?
avoiding it. Or causing it.
Yeah.
I will take that one as well. How many of you would consider yourselves to be average in your ability to recognize and deal with the stress in your life? Just average capability. A couple averages. How many of you would consider yourselves to be above average in your ability to deal with life and the things that life's hands you? Okay? How many would consider yourselves to be exceptional in dealing with stress? I'm in the top 10% of the people out there with my ability to deal with stuff that life hands me. Okay. So how many of you would consider yourselves to be below average? Outstanding. Outstanding. Not because you are below average. Thank you, sir. Since we didn't have any real specific objectives, and you usually get a lot across the board, what I've done is just to make life easier, I'm just going to tell you what I want out of the briefing. Since I'm the only one talking anyway, I'm just going to tell you what I want, and you folks can take it from there. So, and I want to be very upfront and honest with you, because I'm going to be spewing all kinds of crazy stuff. I'm going to pull out the biggest jug of snake oil you've ever seen. So I just want you to know up front, that's what I'm doing. My first objective, I want 100% complete conversion away from stress management to the idea of stress engineering, okay? I am Billy Graham at the Superdome. I want converts. So much so, if you feel yourself being converted, if you think you get to that point where you are ready to say, I don't want to deal with stress management anymore, I'm going to live my life as a stress engineer, just throw up a hand and let me know, all right, you got me, I'm a convert. That helps me out. Next step, I want to convince you that for fully functional, self-reliant people such as we have in this room, stress management is not only useless, in a lot of cases it's extremely dangerous. It costs us hundreds and thousands of lives a year. And then last but not least, if I do my job well, I will demonstrate to you that there's a physical process in place when we talk about stress and stress engineering, and we ignore that at our own peril. Okay? So those are my objectives. That's what I'm going to try to do. That's the whole reason I'm peddling the snake oil. Now, before I can go any further, I've got to know the level of expertise that I have in the room. And since most everybody rated themselves average to above average, I'm just going to take a real quick little quiz and see if that's actually where we are. So, pop quiz. If you will take and open up your workbook, please, to the inside page, inside right cover, you will see 6 blank spaces. There you go. Those 6 right there. These 6 right there. Those are your spaces for the pop quiz. Everybody got something to write with? Outstanding. Okay, here we go. Question number 1. Give me, please, the commonly accepted definition of the word stress. Commonly accepted definition of the word stress. And there it is, pretty much the way it always is. I get about 12 or 15 who farted looks. All right. Question number 2. Give me your definition of stress. Your definition of stress. And since you're really only writing at this point to impress your neighbors, number 3, tell me what stress feels like to you. And I will give you some time on that. So commonly accepted definition of stress, your definition of stress, what does stress feel like to you? And then when you get done, if you'll just make eye contact with me, that'll help me gauge how far along everybody is. Thank you. Most everybody, does anybody need just a little more time? Okay, number 4. Give me the commonly accepted definition of the word depression. Okay, the natural byproduct of stress. Commonly accepted definition of the word depression. And since I'm getting a lot of the same looks I got on number 1, number 5, give me your definition of depression. And then number 6, what does depression feel like to you? So 4, 5, and 6 are just the same as 1, 2, and 3. Commonly accepted definition of depression, your definition of depression, what depression feels like to you. Okay. Looks like most everybody is wrapping it up. All right, who wants to turn in your quiz to get a grade?
You can pick me if you want, I mean, that's
Well, you
fine,
picked
or
a-
any big a student. If you can read it.
I can almost. Let's see. For the commonly accepted definition of stress, you said unexpected or unpleasant events, or for your definition of stress, you said anxiety pulled in too many directions. Now, here's my question, Pat. Is that what stress is, or is that the way you feel when you're under stress?
That's the feeling, yeah.
That's the feeling, okay? You didn't pass, I'm sorry.
Yeah, there you go, that's why I'm back.
Who else wants to turn in their booklet so I can make fun of you in public?
I turned you in, but I had roughly the same answer, so.
You did not have roughly the same answers. You had pretty much exactly the same answers. Pressure on one, pressure on one. For depression, you put inability to function. Is that the depression? Is that the definition of depression, or the way you feel?
That's what I did.
Absolutely. Who else has one? Some guys are over here writing very
Well, I have a little bit.
intense. You got a little bit? Oh, I'll make fun of a little bit. Let's see. Stress, dealing with the personal emotion. Is that stress, or is that you dealing with the personal emotion? Yeah, so that's the reaction to it, not the actual event, okay? Let's see, for depression, you put loss of interest of life, or lack of interest of life. Again, depression or your reaction to it.
Yeah.
Anybody have any definition that does not have your reaction to it as opposed to the actual thing? Can you see how this might be a problem?
Yeah.
If you ask me what a lion is, and I say it's that thing that leaves me all chewed up and bloody, do you know any more about a lion than you did when we started? No, you won't know until the lion chews me up and spits me out. And you can say, yeah, you got chewed up with a lion, but can you actually go out in the woods and hunt and shoot that lion? No, you don't have enough information. And that's my contention, and that's one of the problems that we have. When you actually talk about stress, and how are we going to respond to stress, at the end of the day, nobody knows what stress is. Everybody knows what stress feels like to them, but nobody knows what actual stress is. How is that possible? How is it possible that we got to this point in our lives and we have absolutely no idea what stress is, even though we talk about it every day, day in and day out? In fact, I'd be willing to bet that some of you joked, oh geez, I'm all stressed out about the briefing today. How is it that we got to this point? I have a theory. My theory goes something like this. This is what the world has told you stress is, right? Some of you read the first line up there in bold, right in the title. What does this thing do?
Alleviates stress.
It alleviates stress. I put it on, I turn it on, stress goes away, right? If I've got a bad relationship, that all gets fixed, right? The house is getting foreclosed on, instantly it comes out of foreclosure. I'm going through a divorce, I put on the helmet, and all of a sudden my wife likes me. Is there anybody in this room that thinks this is actually alleviating my stress?
No.
If you think stress is the way you feel, for number 3, did anybody happen to put down headaches or tension or any of that stuff?
Yeah.
Who put headaches down?
With tightness.
Yeah. If you think that stress is a headache, and you put this ridiculous helmet on and your headache goes away, have I not alleviated your stress?
Yes, it is.
You've alleviated the symptoms of my stress.
But if you think stress is the symptom, have I not alleviated your stress?
Sure.
So the people who make these stupid helmets know what I know. Nobody knows what stress is. We all think stress is the way we feel. So if I can make that feeling go away, I can sell you this piece of junk for $49.95 and tell you it alleviates stress. I gotta take this thing off, it makes me sick. All right, how about this one? Somebody read the highlighted lines for me.
Ways to help fight stress.
Stress is something you consume.
Yes! Stress is something you consume. Drinking fresh juice puts up a bulletproof shield around you from stress. Think of all the money we have wasted in Iraq and Afghanistan on body armor, all of the metal stuff that we send over there, the bomb teams, the dogs and all that, when all we really needed to be doing was sending over
Juice.
big tanks of orange juice. Exactly. Next time you're getting chewed out at work, stop the guy for a second and go, no, wait a minute. Let me get a little juice in me. All right, go ahead again. Is there anybody in this room that thinks that drinking juice will put up a bulletproof shield around you from stress?
No.
No. Will drinking a little juice make you feel better?
Yeah.
Yes. So if you think stress is the way you feel, would this not sound like a logical answer? Yes, but it's junk, and it doesn't help. And when you look at it in the light of what we're talking about, it looks stupid and silly. Why? Because it's stupid and silly, okay? So, since basically can we all agree, at this point in the conversation, we have no foundational knowledge basis whatsoever about what stress is. So before I can tell you how to beat it, I got to tell you what it is, and that's what we're going to spend the next amount of time doing. I'm going to tell you what stress is, okay? So, a little bit about myself. I am a mechanical engineer by education, a pilot by profession. What does that mean? Well, number 1, no social skills whatsoever. Poorly adapted sense of humor, and I guarantee I'm the dumbest guy in the room, okay? So if I can get this stuff, anybody can get this stuff. But the other thing it ought to tell you is, I like constants, I like math, I like formulas. Why? There's no variation. If a formula works, a formula works. 2 plus 2 is always 4. Doesn't matter how you feel, doesn't matter what's going on around you, 2 plus 2 is always 4. I like math. Math works great. So based on that, here is my definition of stress. And for those of you that want to follow along in the workbook, if you flip over a page, you'll see that there's a blank section there for taking notes. So, my working definition of stress, the USR times the PAF equals stress. Any questions?
What is the
Yeah, what the heck is any of that? Okay, well let's break it down. Let's go piece by piece. USR, unsatisfactorily resolved. Unsatisfactorily resolved. In order for me to have some component of stress, there has to be something about an incident, a condition, or a situation that remains unsatisfactorily resolved to me. Okay? And to prove this, let's take a little example. Which bothers you more? Which causes you more stress? The bills that you have yet to pay this month, or the bills that you paid last month?
This month.
Why this month?
Because
Not
it's start.
resolved.
Yeah.
It's still unsatisfactorily resolved. Okay? The ones we paid last month, we may not have liked it. You know, when I get that electric bill and it's $480, the first thing I do is run around and turn off every light in the house. If you people can't handle 60 watts, I'll drop you down to 25, right? But we pay it and it's done and it's over and we start working on the next month. Why? Because it's still unsatisfactory resolved. Okay? And the interesting thing about this is the human brain is extremely adept in its ability to always find the unsatisfactory resolved issues in any situation. Let me give you an example. I come home a couple months ago and my wife is there with my daughter, with my 13-year-old daughter, and she says, hey, we just got back from the dentist and the dentist says she needs braces. What's the unsatisfactory resolved issue there?
A lot of money.
You got about $4 grand looking at the.
Not yet. Not yet. Because let's face it, this dentist just wants a new BMW, right?
This you-
I'm not trusting this. I need a second opinion. So the unsatisfactory resolve to me is this guy actually telling me the truth? So we go to a second dentist. The second dentist looks at my daughter and says, good Lord, she looks like a rake, right? Kid can eat corn on the cob through a barbed wire fence. Of course she needs braces. It's terrible. Now what's the unsatisfactory resolve issue?
Oh, you got a second.
My braces, yeah.
Yeah.
How much? $6 grand. $6 grand for a set of braces. You can haggle, you can offer them goats and chickens, it's still $6 grand. I tried. So, I've got $3,000 on this credit card, $3,000 on that credit card, I can pay the $6,000. The second I pay off that $6,000 with those two credit cards, what's the next unsatisfactory resolve issue?
You have to pay it back.
How do I pay off the credit cards? Does the fact that my daughter needs braces cause me any stress? No.
No, it's the payment.
I'm past that. I already know she needs it, I already know I can afford it, and I already know that it's gone on the credit card. So those have all been resolved. I'm not happy about it. Don't ever get me wrong, I'm not happy about it, but it's been satisfactory resolved, and I've moved on to the next thing. So does everybody kind of see that unsatisfactory resolve? Everybody willing to give me that as a component of stress?
Yes.
Okay? Two people still awake? Sure. All right. Excellent. PAF, personal amplification factor. Personal amplification factor. Wow, Trent, that sounds very impressive. Who can tell me what a personal amplification factor is?
No idea.
Your trauma level.
I like that answer.
Sorry,
Trauma level.
Trauma level.
Who can put it in some different words?
What it means to you, basically, as opposed to.
Absolutely. How uptight are you? How big of a deal are you going to make this? How many times have you run into this before, and how much is it going to get under your skin? Okay? Another way to think about it is your emotional multiplier, okay? It's based on things like your experience, but it's also based on fear, anxiety, anger, all of those things. Have we ever noticed that we react when we're angry much more extreme than we would when we're calm and collect? Why? Because that personal amplification factor has gone up. Okay? Unsatisfactory resolved, and I gotta care about it. If I don't have either of those components, I have no stress. If something works out exactly the way I like it, does it stress me out? No, I wouldn't. If I don't care about something that's unsatisfactory resolved, does it cause me stress? No, because I don't care about it. So let me give you an example of how this kind of interplays together so you guys can see that unsatisfactory resolve times a personal amplification factor. It is a Saturday afternoon. I'm sitting on my couch. I'm watching college football. I've got a beer in one hand and a remote in the other, the way God intended. Okay? And I'm happy. Do I have any stress on the couch?
No.
No. Not unless this starts to get a little light. So I'm watching the college football. My wife walks by my son's room. My son's room is trashed. Does my wife have stress at this point?
Yes.
What is her unsatisfactory resolve?
The room was trapped.
The room is trashed. Does she have a personal amplification factor? In other words, does she care that his room is trashed?
Yes.
Yes. Therefore, she has stress. Now that she has this stress, she is now motivated to change the stress. So she walks by me on the couch and says, hey, that kid needs to clean up his room. Now at this point, do I have stress?
Yes.
Do I have an unsatisfactory resolve issue?
Yes.
My kid's room is dirty. Do I have a personal amplification factor?
Yes.
Perhaps.
No, I don't care. I know this room is dirty when I sat on the couch. So my personal amplification factor is 0. Therefore, do I have stress?
No.
No. So what do I do?
Take it sick.
Carry on what you.
I am still watching college football the way God intended, right? Okay. 10 minutes goes by, and my wife does a second pass by the kids' room. It's still trashed. Does my wife have stress?
Yes.
Yes. Does she have more stress than she did on the first pass?
Yes.
Yes, because a personal amplification factor has gone up, or she may view that as unsatisfactory result, but the kid has enough, but she still has stress. So she comes by me, and this time she's a little more adamant, right? I told you, get that boy to clean his room. Now, me being the good husband that I am, I say, yes, dear, and I continue on. At this point, do I have stress? No, still don't care. Didn't then, don't now, don't care. Third time by the room, wifey is mad. Not just a little, but a lot. Does she have more stress than she did on the first one? Absolutely. unsatisfactory resolve, kid still has a dirty room, personal amplification factor, she still cares. But now, she has a new stress, which is lazy husband on the couch won't do anything I tell him to do. Does she have a personal amplification factor for that? Yes, she does. I can personally attest to it. It's there, okay? So she does the flyby, and this time she says, get off that couch, clean that room, or I'm going to let you have it. Now, at this point, do I have stress?
Yes.
Yes. What is my unsatisfactory resolve issue?
Can't watch the
Football
game.
game.
Yes! She keeps talking during college football. Do I have a personal amplification factor?
Yes.
Yes, I don't want her talking during college football. So now, motivated by stress, I stand up, I hunt the boy down, I throw him in the room, I lock the door and say, do not come out of here until this room's clean. And I go back to the couch and I watch TV. Now, during this situation where my wife and I both stressed out, yes, were we ever stressed out about the same thing? No. And that's one of the first things that I want to try to get across to you. Just because two people are involved in exactly the same situation, unless you take the time to figure out what the unsatisfactory resolve component is, these people can argue all day long and never come to a consensus. Okay? So don't ever think that just because two people are in the same situation, they're both stressed out for the same reason. But does everybody have a pretty good working understanding of that unsatisfactory resolve and personal amplification factor?
I got a problem.
You got a problem?
Twice, she told you that the room was a mess. That's a
Mhm.
statement of fact.
Yes.
Never once did you say that she asked you to do anything about it.
Oh,
That's a
you're obviously either not married or not paying attention.
Supplies.
Well, then he's not paying attention. Just by virtue of her mentioning kid, dirty, and room, I should have known that that was my job. I should have known.
Red flags.
The same way when she walks by and
That's all
says,
the kid.
she could have, but that's
He's her
fine.
kid too.
I understand that.
Now you have a new unsatisfactory
I'm not a
resolve you're
newlywed. I
creating.
know how this game works.
But usually, what she said, you're the father, you discipline the kids.
I'm just saying, that's how that's an entirely hypothetical situation. It's never actually happened.
It's the boy, not the girl.
Okay.